Last week we talked about how to get your business summer ready and those shifts that you need to make. But how do you actually achieve the balance there between life and business and being able to have fun with your kids and doing those things? Yes, we shifted some of those things that we needed to with our business, but how do you feel good about the balance of it? That's what we're going to talk about today. So, here we go. Welcome back to another episode of the Your Money, Your Life podcast. I'm your host, Aimee Cerka. We are talking about the elusive word balance today, right? There's so many times that we feel like, okay, I just want to achieve balance. I want to feel good about this. And there's going to be a segment that we're going to talk about here, with your money. And even next week, we're going to get into that a little bit more about making sure that we're seeing if the system you have for your money is working, if it's showing you results in those things. And we're going to get to the balance probably more specifically with your money when it comes to that next week. But for now, let's talk about balance more from an energy side and how to achieve that balance and to feel good about these things with the lens of looking at summer because we're in summer and your business and feeling good and authentic about that because when we can actually achieve that, it's going to make a lot of sense. So, first, let's start with what balance is. And is balance something that's even achievable? So, I think a lot of times when people say balance, we are looking for the scale, where I spend 50% of the time of my business and 50% of the time with my kids and being present with my family. And for me, that's not really balance. Balance isn't about having everything even. It's about the balance that you want to feel. So if I sit there and I ask you what your priorities are, a lot of times we're going to say, your faith, your family, friends, maybe, and then work. So as entrepreneurs, we're passionate and we love what we do for hopefully you love what you do, right? But that doesn't mean that I want to spend all this time consumed by it. Now, I am totally somebody that'll get in the zone and just work way more. Even yesterday, I was trying to be more intentional with, making sure that I took breaks and those things. So I had a timer set to make myself get up and stop working. And I was shocked at how fast the timer was going off because, you get in the zone and you're working and you're enjoying this and it lights you up and you're passionate about it. But balance isn't about the equal time. So what feels good, what feels aligned is the balance. So as a mom, a CEO, we homeschool, all those things, there's different levels of balance. There's different times where things are more important than others. There's seasons where, being with my kids and having the business run very much on autopilot is important. And then there's times where you really want to be in the business. And one of the things, a lot of what we talked about okay, here, let's go with this. A lot about what we talked about last week was, prioritizing what needs to be done and leaning into those things and letting go of some of the fluff. And I think to be able to achieve balance, you start with that. If you get the big rocks out of the way first, the things that need to happen. If you're working on those needle movers, we talked about cash flow unlocked last week as well, and working on the things that are actually producing results. If we do those things first, when we have the time to work on our business, when we're designating time to work on our business, if you do those things first, when you feel that pull that you want to be away from the business, that you want to be with your kids in the pool, another pool. When you feel that pull that you want to be with your kids, hanging out in the pool instead of working, those are more possible and you can feel the balance there because you're not feeling the guilt. Now, it's a process to remind yourself that everything is okay and it's where you need to be and there's enough. And that's um I've been leaning a lot into human design, my design in the last, I don't know, 3, 4 months. And I'm really excited for some of the things that I'm adding into into Money Mastery Academy, specifically about what I'm learning. I'm definitely not an expert in any regards. I'm happy to point you to the people that I'm learning from, but leaning into those things because it does affect how we show up and those thought processes and patterns that we have. So if you're somebody that's continually telling yourself like you're not doing enough, but you really are doing enough, then we need to work on that um conditioning, that thought process and work there. It's not that you need to achieve the perfect balance. It's we need to be clear about where we're at and the thoughts that we're thinking and feeling and those things. And that's a lot of the work that we do inside Money Mastery Academy is working on those thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Yes, we have the tactics that we need to work on, but to achieve the balance, yeah, sometimes there's the tactics and we're avoiding it. But even if you're somebody who's avoiding the numbers, avoiding your finances because you don't want to see it, you don't want to know where things are at, or you just don't feel like you have the time, most of that goes back to the mindset and our thoughts and our feelings. So to achieve the balance, we have to work. And I feel like balance almost needs to be in air quotes here because it's, again, not the 50-50. It's like balance and feeling aligned, feeling confident, feeling unstoppable. Those are the things that we need to do. So when you take care of the stuff that needs to get done first, you are prioritizing the work that needs to be able to feel that, to achieve the balance, like from an action level, but then feeling aligned, feeling that you have the balance that you need in the season that you're in, because it's going to ebb and flow. There are so many things that happen that come up. It can change from day to day. It can change from week to week. It can change from month to month and even year to year. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just where you're at. And again, leaning into what works well. And with your money, again, it's not just like we talk about the balance with your money, it's not about cutting all impulse spending. It's not about like things being bad or good. That's too black and white. The balance is much more gray. And achieving that is a skill and something that we have to work on. Another example that I wanted to talk about with balance is feeling guilt-free on saying no to things that don't work for you. So I've talked, I think, a couple times now about like networking calls, and that just does not work for me, my personality, my human design, even, and a lot of those things. Like it does not, it's not effective. It's not a needle mover. It's not the best use of my time. But feeling guilt-free, achieving the balance there and the confidence about knowing that it's not for me anymore, that took some time because, again, there's so much noise. There's external pressure, there's internal pressure, whatever we're putting on ourselves. But it took achieving that balance of feeling confident with what works for me and my business and the business that I wanted to create, the life that I wanted to create, that balance that I wanted to have, to know like, hey, this is just not working for me. And I can confidently say no now because we've worked on that balance and knowing it's the balance between feeling confident in what you have and what you quote might be missing. Because again, you're not missing anything. You have all the pieces of the puzzle. It's just about embracing that. That's why cookie cutter strategies don't work, because we're individuals and we need the individual strategy. Okay. Another thing that helps me to be able to balance and be present with my kids when I'm spending time with my kids and my family and my loved ones, all of those things, is working a week or two ahead. I have not, I was really on top of this for a while and then I kind of got behind and we're working on it again. But my goal is always like I'm a week or two ahead with like my core content. So here for the podcast, like at least having it recorded, social media, kind of, emails, kind of. I write some of those in the moment, but I have like themes prepared and emails that like have to go out, promo emails and some of those things, like we're working ahead. So if there's time where it's like, hey, let's just take off. We just, I don't know, like 15 minutes ago, planned a fun trip for next week that we're going to go have a fun outing. And we're able to do that because we're working ahead. We're prepared. I'm not working last minute. Like this has to be done by tomorrow. There have been times like the podcast that went live this week as I'm recording this was a very much last minute episode. It was not prepared. It was recorded, but it wasn't prepared like it needed to be. And that's an ongoing process. But that key there, working ahead, there's a balance again, right? There's a balance between the spontaneity that we're working in the moment and we're having that inspiration. I do a lot of that in my stories. And then I have a social media post that I've kind of reserved once a week that's like this spontaneity, like, hey, this is what's on my mind. This is what we're talking about. And if there's nothing that's coming to mind, nothing inspiring me in the moment, then it's okay to let that go. If that makes sense. Like we have that built-in room to be able to work in the moment, to feel that confidence. And even like that's a lot of what I do in my Instagram stories. And that is a space to do that. And then I can always take that if something really resonates with somebody and turn it into a podcast episode, turn it into a reel, whatever it might be, but allowing that to happen in the moment and then having the other portion planned ahead a little bit. So then I'm not feeling like I'm on a deadline. This has to happen now. All right. That is how I have felt that we've worked to achieve balance between all of the different things that you're pulled in between the house and homeschooling and the business. And we do year-round school. So I'm still going to talk about homeschooling because my kids have a lighter schedule. We call it summer boost over the summer, but we are still doing schoolwork and we have those things here and that they're pulling for our attention and feeling balanced and feeling aligned. That way you can feel present in the area that you're in. And I think that's really the goal that we're working towards. It's you want to be able to feel present where you're at. And that's so much of what we talk about with the money because you can say, like, I have this time to spend with my kids. But if you're playing a board game or whatever it might be in the back of your head, you're thinking about, like, how are you going to make ends meet? Or how are you going to get your next client? You're not fully present with where you're at. And that's the balance that we want to achieve is feeling that peace, the joy, the confidence, unstoppable, feeling like you have that balance. All right. That's what I've got for today. Send me a message on Instagram and let me know if that is helpful. If we're not connected, make sure to follow me. I'll follow you back. You know, I love to chat and you can see all the kid shenanigans that we have all the fun with. All right. That's it for now. We'll see you next time. If you're struggling with shame and guilt around your finances, whether it's debt, impulse spending, mistakes from the past, or the fact that you still haven't hit your income goal, then it's time for you to work with me. There are different levels of support and price points that you can use on the path to removing that guilt and shame so you can step into your unstoppable life. After all, your finances are unique to you, and your support should be too. Go to workwithaimee.com to get started with one of my most popular programs, or you can book a Q&A call with me and we'll figure out what that next step should be. And those links are hanging out in the description of this video as well.